Texas or Illinois, everybody's got their own lottery, right? California, we got our own lotteries. There's a Powerball lottery. And I don't really play the lottery much. But then, about once every couple of years, it gets up to like 700 million or something. And you're like, oh, I'm gonna play the lottery. Everybody plays the lottery. Folks, what you're watching in college basketball right now, and they just had a Powerball lottery get to 1.2 billion. Everybody played it. Zion Williamson, let me give you a date to put in your head. May 14th, NBA lottery. That may outrank the actual playoff game that night. This kid is different. There's 4 players in the history of basketball that I watched either in high school or college, and you knew they were going to alter the league. Patrick Ewing, LeBron James, Shaq at LSU, and Zion Williamson. He is going to change so many things about this league. Devin Booker's a nice player for the Suns. He doesn't do anything for the overall league. Luka Doncic is a great player for Dallas. Zion Williamson is different. He's going to alter television ratings. It used to be that you just tanked for the number 1 pick. You are tanking for Zion. And there's 6 to 7 teams now that are, or more. In Los Angeles, they won't call it that, but it looks like that. Last night, Zion Williamson was on the floor. Forget 13 for 13. The second best basketball player in college was on the floor last night and was invisible. He is the most exciting, game-altering prospect to come into this league in 16 years since LeBron James. And before that, it was Shaq. And before Shaq, it was Patrick Ewing. You're talking about a kid that's going to take a franchise, and if you're worth $2 billion, you'll be worth $2.5 billion the day he enters. He will change shoe company deals forever. He's going to change television ratings. He will sway conferences. People will draft to stop him. I talked to an NBA scout a month ago, and I said, I'm hearing a lot about, different players going number 1. And he goes, you don't have a choice. You have to draft him number 1. He is going to be so discussed, so talked about, so fascinating. I mean, Zion was on TV last night, and so was LeBron. I watched every second of one and not a second of the other. And you can figure out who it was. It wasn't LeBron. Syracuse head coach Jim Boeheim, who has seen, he's been coaching for 40 years. He was in the Big East when, Ewing, Chris Mullin. Here's what he said after facing Zion last night.
I've seen a lot of great players. I'm not saying he's better than those guys, but he's a different player. He can do things that nobody has done in this game. I mean, Charles, like I've said, it was close, but this guy's bigger, stronger, and he's crazy, different type of player. There's not guys like him.
There wasn't anybody like Shaq. Nobody was that big and fast. There was nobody like LeBron. 6'9", point guard out of high school that handles the ball and passes like that. The knock on Patrick Ewing was he dunked too much. This kid's size, his speed, his touch, his first step, his passion, his joy for the game. Folks, the second best player in college basketball was on the floor last night. He was as anonymous as a prank phone call. Who, where? Nobody cared. Total game changer. You get one of these. This is Tiger. This is Bryce Harper. And everybody will say it's too much. They almost always live up to the hype. Shaq lived up to it. Ewing lived up to it. Tiger lived up to it. Bryce Harper now going to make $330 million. The guys that become the guy every 10 years in any sport, we get one of these kids about every 8 to 10 to 12 years. Zion's it, and they almost always live up to it. John Elway and Dan Marino both lived up to it. That's the greatest quarterback class ever. They both, Tiger, they all did. Coming up next, it was, to me, another indication of what a mess, popular, yes, but what a mess one NFL franchise currently is. Loaded show. Sean Merriman. grading all free agents 40 minutes from now. Top of next hour. It's The Herd.
Undisputed.
It's a Friday. We are ready to go. This is The Herd. Wherever you may be and however you may be listening, live in Los Angeles, iHeartRadio, Fox Sports Radio, and FS1, an absolutely packed show. 1 hour from now, I'm going to hand out the grades, all the grades. Spent time on this, on the off-season moves, the free agency moves in the National Football League. There's 3 teams I think got A's. A couple of teams got D's. Maybe we'll hand out a failing grade. A couple of C's. I think you'll be surprised. That is in 1 hour. Let me start with this. Generally, here is the way it works. A flyover country, Indianapolis, Green Bay, Kansas City. You don't pay attention to us. You're always paying attention to New York and, Boston and Los Angeles. So generally the feeling in America is when New York does something, they get way more credit than they deserve. Except here. Does everybody get Le'Veon Bell was the free agent signing? Just because the car was in the garage for a year with a cover on it doesn't mean it's not a Lamborghini. Folks, Odell Beckham Jr. struggled to stay healthy the last 2 years. He had 108 touches over the last 2 years. The last time Le'Veon Bell played, he had 406 touches in 1 year. He's the scrimmage yards leader career-wise in NFL history. Per game, nobody averages more yards per scrimmage than Le'Veon Bell. Jim Brown behind him. Barry Sanders behind him. Is it because you don't like New York? You don't buy into Sam Darnold? This was the home run. This is the most impactful player signed. He will change first down. You can't bracket him like you can bracket a wide receiver. I get Antonio Brown's flashy. But if the Raiders' offensive line isn't good, Derek Carr's not going to have time to hit him deep. Yes, I think Baker Mayfield and OBJ is going to be fun to watch if OBJ can stay healthy. And if Freddie Kitchens, who nobody knows if he can coach his way out of a paper bag, can design games where there's balance in the offense. They got a lot of mouths to feed. The Jets do not have a lot of mouths to feed. Le'Veon Bell's the overwhelming star of the offense, and he's right behind Sam Darnold. Just because he had a cover on the sports car in the garage for a year, what the Jets are actually doing is what the Rams did with Jared Goff. You draft your West Coast quarterback, who was very, very good in college. 1 year later, you fire a defensive coach. You bring in an offensive coach. Then you go find an upgrade on the offensive line. Rams did that with Andrew Whitworth, a Pro Bowler. Jets just did that with a Raider guard, a Pro Bowler. Then you go find him a slot wide receiver. Robert Woods came from Buffalo to the Rams. And now they went out, the Jets, and got Crowder from the Redskins, a veteran slot receiver. And then you make sure you have a star running back. You sign to a long-term deal, Gurley and Le'Veon Bell. The Jets are doing what the Rams did. They draft a quarterback. The first year you had a defensive coach. You get rid of him. You upgraded coach. You upgraded slot receiver. You upgrade O-line. The Jets reportedly are also going to draft O-line as well. And like the Rams, who had already Aaron Donald, some nice defensive players, the Jets have nice defensive players, Leonard Williams, now C.J. Mosley, Jamal Adams, to keep the games close. So Le'Veon Bell is the impact guy. 400 touches to 108 the last 2 years for OBJ. This is what you do. This is what you do with a young quarterback going into his second year. You get him a better offensive coach. You get a better slot weapon. You upgrade the O-line. You ensure he's got a star running back who can touch it 250 times. Yeah, I'm surprised how many people, maybe it's because I'm so pro Sam Darnold, it'll just be massive pushback. But if you watch Darnold play last year, the Jets had the second lowest rated running backs and the second lowest rated wide receivers, and they have massively upgraded 4 yards behind Sam Darnold. Le'Veon Bell's in the Jim Brown territory. We're talking about a guy that's going to touch the ball over 300 times a game. who hasn't missed 16 games in the last 2 years with injuries. He just rested, came back, said it yesterday. I'm healthy. I've never felt better. And by the way, the Jets' schedule, they were a last-place team. It ain't a tough schedule. It is not. Their tough away game is Philadelphia. They don't face a lot of Pro Bowl quarterbacks. They face the Bills, the Dolphins. They face the Redskins, Ravens, Bengals, Jags, Giants. They don't face a lot of Pro Bowl quarterbacks. They don't face a lot of dynamic offenses. They face the Patriots twice, and they'll face Philadelphia, who has a chance to win the Super Bowl. So I am just surprised because it is New York, and because it's an unbelievable all-time Jim Brown-level talent, Le'Veon Bell, it's not getting more love. I know it's not flashy. I know we like receivers more than running backs, but hello, people. It's a major, major deal for the Jets. Now, if the guys cross town in New York could get it together. Let me shift gears to this. You know how we have the Powerball lottery in America?